Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Amy. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner and I'm also an NPC bikini competitor who is 1 week out from her first show of the season, meaning it was 1 week ago, and this is my show day vlog. So unfortunately, I did not get any footage from the day of the show, but I do have some pictures that I'm going to insert here and there as we talk through everything. I was going to do this as a combo with my week 13 update, but I decided to just do it as a standalone. So this is just going to be a fun chat. Hopefully the weather holds. As I look around, there's blue sky above me, but there are clouds all around me. So we're going to hope that the weather is good for at least a little while so we can chat about how the show went. So I did compete a week ago. You can kind of see the tan is hanging on, not as much as the bronze goddess I had going on at the end of my last vlog, the peak week vlog. Oh, I was so gloriously tan for a few days, but it does eventually start to fade. So I'll talk more about how I feel post-show, like meaning what the plan is moving forward, all in my week 13 update. So for this video, we're just going to kind of go through what happened on show day. So left off the peak week vlog, I think I talked about the fact that my air conditioning went out in my car on the way home from the tan. So I was pretty panicked when I got back from getting my tan that I would have ruined everything by being in a 100-degree car for an hour, but I took everything off right away just to take a look at everything, and it actually looked fine. There were a couple of little settling lines kind of in the creases of my legs, and I just kind of gently buffed those out with my fingertips, and it was perfect. So slept that night, woke up the next morning on show day. First thing I did was take fasted pictures and send them to my coach. So as you can see in these pictures, it was dark because it was before the sun came up, but I was pretty flat. So I was looking lean, I was pretty flat. I had definitely gone to bed the night before the show not feeling super great with how things were looking, but I woke up morning of the show, weight was down a little bit, just like we expected, and everything was going great. So checked in with coach, kind of made a plan for what to eat that morning. And then I started doing my hair and makeup. So I right away washed my hair. It went perfectly. No tan issues there. And then I did my makeup. And I'm going to insert pictures of the makeup look here. Took these in the car when I was on my way, obviously not while I was driving, but just in the car before I got out of the car at the show, just to take a look at it. And I thought it looked great. And it really looked good on stage. You'll see my stage pictures at the end. So it looked really nice on stage. My hair came out perfectly, of course, with no air conditioning. And driving to the show, luckily it was early enough in the morning. It was only like 85 degrees when I left to go to the show. So for me, that was totally fine. That's windows up weather. So it was not a problem with having my hair blow around. Hair looked great. Immediately got to the venue, kind of went and checked in for my tan. I was a few minutes early, but I was the last person to be tanned. You're going to see a pattern here with all of this coming in last. So I was the last one, so they were super excited. Like I said, I was early, so it wasn't like they were waiting for me, but they were pretty ready to be done with all of the tans. I got my competitor number the day before, and then I was able to look at the list of competitors, and it turned out that my number, 107, was the very last number. So I was competitor 107 out of 107. Very last competitor. So got my top coat of tan, looked great. I then changed into my bikini. After I let it kind of dry for like 10-15 minutes, changed into my bikini and sent pictures to my coach. So just a first set of pictures. It was really funny. I'll insert these pictures here too, but there was the same kind of conference center where the show was, there was this massive swing dancing competition going on. And I mean, there were hundreds of people there for this swing dancing competition. And as I was like trying to find good lighting and also where it was a little bit quieter. And I mean, like so many of these people were walking by. So there's actually the video I took of it because I just do still shots. Like it was me basically just like waving people through and smiling and then like trying to pose real quick. It was really funny. So sent those pictures over to my coach. He commented on the fact that the lighting was not great. I'm like, no, the lighting's not great. Kind of asked me to eat it. I told him when I was thinking I was going to go on stage at that point. At this point, it was a little bit before 10, like probably 9:45. And the show had been going since 8:30. And just with the way things were going, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to be on for at least another hour and a half, at least. So, kind of told me when I should eat a meal and then send additional check-in pictures. So that was the plan from there. At 10 o'clock, I jumped on the AB Live. Here's some pictures of that. It was so much fun. I was so thankful that Paul was willing to let me jump on, even though I was in a really noisy environment and sitting there in my stage makeup and a silk robe, just to be able to kind of take my mind off of things. And since I didn't have anybody at the show with me, it was really nice to kind of feel like I had like a group of people kind of there with me. And the best thing happened. So while I was sitting there, I was just kind of sitting on the floor, and I had the live up on my phone on the camera stand, and someone came, like, walked by and then kind of walked by again, and then kind of like got down and like got my attention and said, "Is your name Amy?" And I had my headphones in, so I had to take one out, and I'm like, you know what? He said, is your name Amy? And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm Amy." And he goes, I know you from the AB Lives. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." I said, "I'm on it right now." And he was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. No. Like, stay here." So he was coached by Kurt Havens, who was actually on the live as well. So I was able to turn my phone around and say, "Oh my gosh, Kurt, your client is here." And he had just swept all of his categories. So he got first in all of his categories. So that was really cool. His name is John. It was so much fun to get to meet somebody. I mean, like I said, I was at the show by myself, so to meet another competitor who I had a connection to was really special. So that was really fun. I stayed on the live for about an hour, and then they were, I was watching on the app for the show and just kind of watching the flow. They were saying like all women's categories. So I said, I should probably go, guys. And so I hung up with them. I'd finished eating my meal while I was on the live. Sent another set of pictures to my coach. Here we go. After I did a pump up. So I ate that meal, waited about a half hour, and then kind of did a pump up, got a good pump. And about this time I was thinking, so it was probably close to noon, I was like, I should be going on pretty soon. So got a pump, sent the pictures. I thought I was looking great. So I was really excited when I took these pictures. So got a really good pump, felt really good. I drank a pump, like a non-stim pump pre-workout, just so I could kind of keep the pump. The friend of mine who was competing in figure got done, so I was able to chat with her. And then wellness goes, they actually ended up taking a break. So this is where then it got a little bit longer. So let's just fast forward to when I got on stage. So by this point, like I said, I'd gotten a really good pump. I drank that pump product, kind of did another quick pump. Because I was the very last competitor to go, I knew when it was going to be my time to go. So that was actually kind of nice because I didn't have to pay a ton of attention to what was happening because I knew that my category was last. So I knew who the other numbers of the competitors that were in my group. There were only 4 of us. So I went and looked at the sheet. So when I saw them kind of go through for their first classes, I'm like, okay, well, we're getting kind of close. Excuse me, I'm gonna get a quick sip of water. So I knew when it was getting kind of close to it being time, and then I was kind of watching. So that was actually really nice. Usually I've done a lot of category or classes at shows, so I was kind of doing the same thing that these other 3 ladies that were in my class were doing. You kind of go through a few times, but because I was just doing open and I was the very last competitor, I could just kind of hang out. So I knew pretty well when I was going to be going on stage, which was nice. I didn't know the time, but I knew, how things were going. So that was good. So it got to be, they got through started doing the open categories. So I knew it was time to kind of really go in and be right there so the expediters saw me, and I'm I just waved to them like I'm here so they don't have to go look for me. Kept kind of pumping up, keeping that pump going, feeling really good. Finally got in the lineup. Like I said, there were 3 other women in my class, in my height class, and I was feeling great. So I was feeling so good. I was feeling super confident. I had this great pump. I was just feeling it. I was feeling it, right? I was really feeling good. It was a little bit different because I was the last competitor and I was the only competitor who had not gone in previous classes. I was the only person to do my routine in that class. So they had us kind of all line up and they had me do my routine quickly and then had me just stay there and then brought the other 3 girls out, and that was it. Then they sent us off stage. So I was on stage from the time my heel stepped on stage to the time I stepped off stage for less than a minute total, including the time in the lineup, because they didn't move us. And at that point, I was kind of crestfallen because I knew I was in last place. Just because of the way the lineup was, the judges didn't even take a second glance at me, even for a second. I mean, even for a second. In fact, the head judge didn't even watch my routine. He turned around and was talking to a guy behind him the entire time. So I knew. And I was just, I was just so bummed. So I got off stage and by that point, that was it. That was it for the morning show. So the morning show was over. Everybody was leaving. People were going to go get lunch. The friend of mine who did figure had actually already eaten her burger by that point because it was so long from when she'd gotten on stage. She was in figure to when I went on stage. So at this point, it was about 1 o'clock. And the evening show started at 3:30. So I had some time. So I texted my coach right away, obviously, and told him how it went. Waited to hear back from him. Didn't hear back from him. I also texted Paul. And Paul called me, and oh gosh, so I'll insert the picture here of me laying outside on the ground because I took off my bikini bottoms and put my shorts on just so I didn't have to sit in my bikini bottoms for hours, since it was gonna be hours before I went back on stage. And he and I just chatted for a few minutes, and I think if I hadn't been feeling so good and hadn't gotten such a great pump, and like I was really feeling like things were going well, and I felt like I was really competitive in my category, and like I really felt like, oh my gosh, like I have a chance here, like I think I'm gonna do well. And then to be dead last of everything in the day at that point, I was just bummed, and I'm not saying this took away anything from the experience of the show, but I was just really disappointed. So it was so nice to talk to Paul, and that really did help. So I talked to Paul. Eventually I did hear back from my coach. He basically didn't really have any input, I guess, at that point. So I just kind of hung out, wasn't really hungry because I'd eaten that meal not long before I went on stage, had some snacks. My coach said to keep eating, pushing some water, eating some carbs, just to kind of keep a steady flow, like, because we knew it was going to be so long. It ended up being like 6 hours until I was back on stage. I got off stage around a little bit before 1 p.m. and I didn't go back on stage. It was right at 7 p.m. when we stepped on stage for the final category. So it was quite a while. So I was trying not to I knew I needed to kind of save some calories till the end of the day. My coach said I could have a protein bar, so I went and got a protein bar from the vendor. The vendor from the show, Colorado Discount Nutrition, oh my gosh, the owner was so nice. So he and I just chatted for a while. He gave me another scoop of non-stim pre-workout because I only brought one. I only had the one scoop with me for, I don't know what I was thinking. I only brought one for prejudging. I didn't bring one for finals, but he had some non-stim pump products. So he gave me a scoop of that for later and a protein bar. So I ate the protein bar and, like I said, just some other snacks. I watched the replay of the AB Live so I could catch up on all the stuff I missed. It was a great episode. And then I just kind of hung out, walked around every once in a while, go to the bathroom, just get a little walk, get some steps in, just to kind of keep those carbs moving through me. And then I wasn't really feeling like I wanted to eat the final meal that I had with me, and I didn't really feel like I needed it at that point. I mean, I knew I was in last place, so it's not like I needed to wasn't that I wasn't trying hard, but I also wasn't like, well, I need this meal so I can stay super full. So I just ate intuitively, just kind of ate the snacks I had a few little gummy bears and some pretzels and that protein bar, and drank a lot of water. And then I did some electrolytes also. And eventually the show started again. We had an amazing guest poser, Martin Fitzwater, who is actually going to be at the Olympia this year. So that was super cool. The evening show does go pretty long though because of the men's individual routines. So they all go through their individual routine to music and people clap, and then there's the award ceremonies for each category. So it was a long day, and I knew I was going to be the last person on stage, which, again, took a lot of the pressure off of me. I could just chill. Like, I knew exactly when I'd be going on stage last. So it was pretty easy just to kind of sit there and just kind of soak it all in and enjoy. I met some other really fun athletes. I got to talk to my friend who did figure for quite a while in a little bit of the break. At one point, this was the sweetest thing that happened. So I was just sitting there playing some Sudoku, listening to a podcast, and this young gentleman came up to me. He looked like he was probably, early, very, very early 20s, said he was in college. So he asked me about pumping up. He asked kind of how we pump up, and had been kind of watching. He was there for the swing dancing competition. So I had a really fun conversation with him. We chatted for probably 15 minutes about why we pump, how we pump, the different techniques you can kind of use to pump up and what it does, and all those fun things. I showed him my pink bands, and there was a woman that was kind of sitting over to the side. I said, see, she brought actual hand weights with her, but for me, I just bring the bands, and kind of encouraged him to pursue bodybuilding. He plays basketball, and he knows that he really struggles to put weight on. So we chatted about kind of the eating is the hardest part, especially for male bodybuilders. They really have to eat a lot in their off season to grow and to put on muscle. But this kid was young, and it was really sweet. And I do go back to saying that bodybuilding is such an amazing community. The whole day also there was a woman who I think she was in the open C class, C or D class. She and her husband and their little 10-month-old baby were right there next to me, and she and I had been in the tanning the day before together. So it was just really fun. And it's this instant bond that you have with people who are in this world, because it's not everyone, and you kind of forget that everybody doesn't live this lifestyle when you live it. So it was a great day in that sense. It was really chill. My hair and makeup was perfect all day. I went into the bathroom, maybe I knew, again, I kind of knew what I'd be going on when I kind of thought, when wellness started, I knew I had probably about an hour. So went in and just kind of looked to see if I needed to touch my makeup. I didn't. I just blotted with my oil blotting sheets, touched up my lipstick a little bit, and that was it. My hair was looking perfect, didn't have to do anything, just gave it a good fluff up before going on stage the final time. So then it was time to go back on, got back in line. At that point, you do your routine. And again, I was the only person. So I went out there and did my routine real quick. And then they had me just stand there again and lined all the other 3 girls up in front of me and gave us our medals, which I did not bring up here, but I do have one. I'll show it in my week 13 video. So it's just a, one that hangs around your neck. So I got 4th place, 4th out of 4, last place, last to tan, last on stage, last place. She's a last place girly. So, oh, there's water all over there. That's not my water. That's unknown water. Bench water. Sorry. So yeah, sorry, less talking. So I got off stage and I did want to get feedback. And since the show was basically over at that point, I knew they'd be coming back right at the end of the class to give feedback. So they had to do the overall first. So I knew that would take a couple of minutes. I went to the restroom, took my bikini bottoms off and just threw my shorts on, took my heels off, left my top on, just in case they needed to see my physique, but threw a little pair of shorts on and went back into the backstage area, and the judge was there. And she was just finishing up talking to one of the wellness girls, and they chatted for a few minutes. And then I walked up to her and, I'd taken my bikini bottoms off, which had my number on them, but didn't need my number. She didn't even need to look at the sheet. She knew who I was immediately because, she had just seen me seconds before. But she gave great feedback. So she, said that I had beautiful conditioning, which was very nice to hear, but that I was just too small. She said, I just need more. She's like, I need more shoulders. I need more muscle everywhere. And that my glutes needed to be tighter. So she did say, which was really lovely and sweet of her to say, if I came with my same level of conditioning and or leanness and more muscle, that I would be hard to beat, which clearly not that hard to beat because I came in 4th. So came in dead last in my category. So yeah, but I was very appreciative that she stayed. It had been a long, long day for them as well. I mean, they're there all day also. So really appreciated that she stayed and gave feedback, and I do take that feedback. I know I need more muscle. The one thing that I was actually really happy that she did not say I was too lean, which was amazing. I know it was a real concern of my coach, that he thought the feedback would be that we were way too lean or looked over dieted, and I didn't. So I'll insert my stage pictures here, and it's hard for me to see the good in them at the moment because I'm just disappointed. And I'm only disappointed in myself. Like, it is, you can't control who else comes to stage. You can only control who you bring to stage, meaning yourself. So that's on me. My posing could have been better. My suit fit was really off. I know I talked a lot about my suit drama in my vlogs leading up to this point. I did not like the way the suit bottoms fit me. But that's not why I didn't place. So I didn't place because of me. Stage presence could have been better, but again, even in these pictures, I loved my hair. I think it looked great. I liked the darker, the darker color actually really looked good on stage, especially with the cool kind of steely gray blue backdrop. The darker hair was perfect. I loved my makeup. I thought it really popped, but it wasn't too much. I was really pleased with all of that. So that was really good. So stage shots, they didn't get many. And of course, there are pictures all over the Instagram feed of the photographer company and also of the show itself of every single category except mine. I don't know why. So I have 0 comparison shots, which is really disappointing. And that's why it's nice to have people at your show, because yes, they posted the individual shots of every athlete, but they don't post comparisons of every class. So I don't really know how I looked next to these other women. I only know how we all looked backstage. So that's also really tough because, I don't know why. I don't know why they didn't post the pictures. They posted every single bikini category except mine. Every single one all day. Every single class of everything all day long except mine. So that is what it is. I mean, again, it doesn't change anything, but it would be helpful to kind of see, okay, well, how did I look compared to these other women? Either way, it doesn't change that I need more muscle. And that I need to come in a little bit leaner and tighter. So that was it. So at that point, I packed up my stuff, got back in my hot car and drove home. When I got home, I ate my final meal that I had, with me at the show. Ate that. I had planned on having a Ninja Creamy, but it was so late. By the time I finished eating, it was 9 o'clock, and I just wasn't feeling it. So I just had a protein shake, my just normal evening protein shake. And my good friend, Todd Lee, called me. I was about to put my protein shake on the blender. I'm like, what is that noise? I'm like, what is that noise? It was my phone ringing. I'm like, oh my gosh, my phone is ringing. Like, who be calling me at 9 o'clock at night? So it was so nice. So he just called to check in and see how I was doing, how things went. We kind of chatted about thoughts moving forward, about shows, about the feedback that I got from the judges, and I'll talk more about what my plan is for my next shows in my week 13 video. So that was so nice. So he and I chatted for a little bit, and sorry, pillows falling. Chatted for a little bit, that I had my protein shake and took shower, the world's dirtiest shower, and went to bed. Next morning, Sunday morning, woke up, ate my pre-workout meal, went to the gym, sent check-in pictures to my coach, was loving my bronze beautiful tan. And that was pretty much the weekend. So that was my first show of the season. It was a great day. I didn't go as I'd hoped as far as placing went, but like I said, I did get great feedback. It was great practice. The day itself, there was nothing went wrong. I mean, everything went perfectly except for my placing. Everything went great. No major mishaps. Like, everything was fine. So I appreciate, and I mentioned, I'm going to try not to cry about it this time, at the end of my last video, that I did wear my Be Kind shirt. And every time I walked by a mirror or went to the bathroom and I saw that Be Kind shirt, it made me think of every single person who watches this vlog and how special and how much that means to me. Like, I really did feel like, even though I was at the show by myself, I felt like everyone who listens and watches, and everyone from the AB Lives, like the AB Live crew, I felt like every single one of you was there with me, because you were there. Because it was right there, right? It was like right on my chest. It was like right in my heart, that everybody was there with me. And oh, that was so nice. You know, it was, I did not feel alone. Like, I was at the show by myself, but I did not feel alone. And I feel like I kind of let everybody down, just because I know everybody was cheering for me, and I really wanted to do better. And I'm not crying because I'm upset about how I placed. Like, I just didn't want to let everybody down. You know, I wanted to go up there and like make everybody proud, and make my coach proud, and all my friends and all my fellow bodybuilders. Like, I didn't want to let everybody down, and I feel like I did. I feel like I let everybody down. So, and I'll talk more about that in my week 13 video, where I can talk about kind of how I'm feeling and moving forward. I just wanted to focus on the day, and the day itself was great. I mean, here's the picture of me again, laying outside in my Be Kind shirt, and there was a big mirror when you walked back into the conference center, and like, I'd see that, and I would just I would feel so connected to everybody who's watching and who's supporting me. So thank you all so much for supporting me. There will be another show this year. So there will be another show day that hopefully I get actually some video footage of. I don't just stay being the world's worst vlogger, and I actually do vlog at the next show, so that there's more than just still shots and me talking about it. And yeah, so for more info about what the plan is, what me and my coach have kind of talked about, and what my plans are for the rest of the season, please watch my week 13 video that will be coming out as well. Oh, and again, I just can't say it enough. Like, thank you all so much. I really appreciate everybody for watching and for supporting me. And I'm sorry I didn't go out there and do better, but I tried my best, and I learned a lot, and I have some good feedback. So it was not a total loss. So be kind to yourself. Spread positivity and light to yourself and everyone around you. You guys all brought me so much positivity on my show day, and I don't know why the lighting is getting so weird. And I just put my foot in that wet puddle that was on this bench. Gross. I'm just going to pretend like I think it's water. I hope it's water. It rained last night, so we're just going to go with the fact that that puddle that I just soaked my foot in is water. But thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you here for my week 13 checkup or check-in.